right, looks like we're live. So this will be day 8 of raising funds for world domination stream. You stream a lot. This is a recent thing, and just trying out for a bit. So I'm kind of between. Do you enjoy it? That's a good question. It is kind of addictive in a certain way because you don't know what you're going to expect, and sometimes you have some surprisingly interesting conversations, or you get a surprise big donation or something. But anyway, continuing on with my intro. Day 8. So continuing on with my intro. So I've been soliciting super chats for if you want to vote for what I'm going to work on next, for probably the rest of the month. I'll maybe try doing one stream a day. There's a few like errands and just interruptions and stuff I have this month, so I'm not going to do. I'm not going to start any long form content, but I'm going to probably try every day. During the day I've been just catching up on some random other stuff. Today I did some of the. I haven't done any work on the renoviction stuff, so I did a little bit of that today. And yeah, so if you want to vote on specific content, although not a lot of people have actually provided suggestions, but these are the options here. And the other thing is each day I've been doing a bit of work on the block mining simulation game. So might as well start that today. Adam Lammer says, "Hello, Canada. How's it going?" So today, I actually figured out how to save the run configurations as the files. So I've added some of those to the repo. So now let's go ahead and open up IntelliJ. Oh, nice. We got a super chat already. Love your work on the rent eviction stuff. Also, can you give some recs for those of us who are fresh out of college looking for jobs in tech? Recs, R-E-C-S, like recommendations or just general advice, or I'm not sure what you mean by that word. Recommendations. I would say that's actually seems to be a interesting, a pretty common question. There's a lot of people fall into the chat who seem to be like recent college grads, and I guess the advice I seem to be always giving is, I think it really depends. If you can ask some slightly more specific questions about like where you are. So the job market, if you're in the U.S., the job market and job prospects and what's hot is different from if you're in Europe. So you can incorporate that into your research. Because whatever advice you get is probably going to be like more regionally specific. Let's see. You're fresh out of college, and you're in tech. So what kind of program did you graduate from? Deep dive in something and find a job. that you can use it in. Cybersecurity. That sounds like I'm sure there's a lot of opportunity for that. Cybersecurity in USA. I'm sure there probably is a lot of use for that now. Actually, I kind of wonder if I did cyber in the U.S. Army, but it doesn't translate. Okay. Yeah, actually, I was actually just going to say like government or military stuff, because I think that is kind of ramping up quite a bit now. But I guess you said you did cyber in U.S. Army. Let's see, so you're fresh out of college, but you said you were in the U.S. Army? Yeah, I don't know much about that whole perspective on things, but or like the that kind of landscape of the job market, doing stuff, and it's adjacent to military contractors and stuff. But there probably is a pretty lucrative. Your college isn't free, so we sell our bodies to the army. If you, I would say your best luck in your situation is probably go through existing networks. So, and I think there's, I mean, I can't speak for your experience. From what I understand, some of the strongest bonds you form are when you go through a boot camp or whatever with people. So if you can leverage some of those existing networks to maybe, if anyone there, if you can get a reference to some like military contractors, or if anyone, and if your buddies from the army, if you can talk to them, and if any of them have any references to some can get you an in somewhere, that might actually be that's what I'm doing. I'm hoping to get hired by uni. The market is so oversaturated. Yeah, I think if you can go through your existing social networks, that's often like one of the best leverage things to exhaust first. Like it'll be, I mean, you can try just like apply to random stuff on LinkedIn and whatever, but on LinkedIn, you'll put like 1,000 applications for every one response. But if you talk to someone and then they know someone else who's hiring or whatever, then the probability, then it goes from like 1 in 1,000 to like 1 in 10. Because at that point, I think it's like it's not necessarily like nepotism, but it's also just a known evil is better than an unknown evil kind of thing. What would be your plan to install a new world government? I guess the first plan is we got to set up a base. We got to build a town center up there on Axel Heiberg. So that's step one. Joseph McGinnis says hello. I do concrete finishing. Concrete is the most used building material in the world. And the market is undersaturated. Yeah, actually, concrete is actually one example that I've been using to people about like thinking about like careers and what to do, because when you think about like what there is demand for in the world, there's only the stuff you like that's like salient that you think about, and you have to think of like break it down to like what's the per capita consumption of like everything, like video game streamers, entertainment, music, and stuff like that. But how many dollars of concrete does the average person consume per year? And if you actually break that down, the average person of a population scale, the average person is consuming quite a bit of concrete. And on the other end, there's not people don't think like, oh, I'm going to make concrete for a living. If you compare that to like, avocados or something like that, people consume concrete's probably pretty high up there. Let's see, I'm missing some chats. I thought for cybersecurity, you also need a bunch of certificates to get a job on top of your college degree. Yeah, I've heard of that. Can't confirm or deny that. Cybersecurity job market is such a scam. I would imagine there probably are lots of scams in it, but then again, there is like a real demand. Like I get people like random spam emails all the time from people trying to sell me like cybersecurity services and stuff, and those are all garbage. But my only experience with cybersecurity people is they can interpret government documents. Yeah, I think responding to requests for proposals for government is probably quite different from just going to work at one of those companies. I haven't met any talented cybersecurity engineers. I mean, it's I think the ideal path would become a software engineer first, and then go into a cybersecurity thing. But I mean, there are people I think that do have a knack. I'm sure there's a certain category of just people that memorize how to push buttons and run scripts and stuff. But some people are like naturally talented at breaking software. I remember a few people in my college struggling to get a job in cybersecurity. Yeah, it's not really a title I hear a lot about, and I think it's also it's probably difficult to hire for because I don't think there's any kind of universal universally meaningful accreditation for it, because if you to be good at evaluating the security of software in something, you have to really know a lot about that software. So you could say there's any number of specialization with Java cybersecurity, with web cybersecurity, with IoT cybersecurity. There's an entirely different category of vulnerabilities for each one of those different verticals. What's your opinion on urbanism? I'm not even sure of the definition of that, other than just urban areas. I have a friend who made $200K a month at ServiceNow. Interesting. I haven't heard of that. Visma and FedRAMP are the bane of my existence. Not familiar with those. I feel like they are not waving flags. Look over here, we are having a cybersecurity party. I'm not quite sure how to interpret that statement, but it's U.S. federal standards for cybersecurity. Okay, I was going to try to open a thing. All right, so I've now just opened it, and I should, in theory, be able to just click run, and it'll just run it. Cyberpunk. Oh, you mean the vibe I have going? That's the intention. NIST 800-53 Bay. I don't know what that is, but I know NIST is the National Institute for Standards and Technology. I'd like to know where Adam works and what cybersecurity he is dealing with. What's with IntelliJ? I thought you were using Vim. I do use Vim, but recently I've been forcing myself to use like an IDE and like just like the last time I used an IDE was like 10 years ago. And why is it running this? Oh, maybe it's running maybe that's a Maven goal. Yeah, I think it's also I think it also has, well, I expected it to kind of reveal some bugs and issues with the build process and just get, like, it should theoretically be able to work in this system. I think it also makes it kind of a, you know, if anyone else wants to take a look at the code or something, they can actually like open it in a different editor. And but I also in the process of doing this, I found a bunch of issues with the build process. So it's much more portable now. And like theoretically, there's no good reason why it can't work in this context. And of course I was, as you can see, it actually does. You can run the block, this very simple primitive block mining game directly in the in IntelliJ, and it works. There were some bugs I had to figure out to get this up and running though. Okay, so that actually works. Now one thing I don't quite want is it's running the test goal, which I don't. Let's see if I run the core one. Does that run test? Cybersecurity compliance. Yeah, a lot of those standards and things they're like boring, but they're there's the train. Having gone back and reviewed a lot of them, I think there's actually a lot of value in. I've actually come to the conclusion there's a lot of economic value in having standards for things. Will you try Aider chat sometime? Nope. I work trying to make security performant. That's why I said it's the bane of my existence. Security performant. Do you mean like making it fast and efficient? Also, Vim versus NeoVim opinion. People keep mentioning NeoVim. I've never tried it, and because people keep mentioning it. It's on my to-do list to actually try NeoVim, but I haven't got there yet. Grayoe says, "Fart Tower. Thank you for your contribution. I'm just starting school for my bachelor's in cybersecurity and information assurance. What makes a talented security engineer?" I'm not even sure I'm qualified to answer that, but I would say it probably, if you're evaluating the security of something, having experience actually building that thing before, like if you're doing like embedded system stuff, and you have if your background is only like building web applications, but you're trying to evaluate the security of like an embedded system, you're probably not going to know what kind of weird things you should try. But if you have experience building something from scratch, then I think that'll put you in a really good position to understand how it's going to fail and break. Because anything to do with I think Linus Torvalds himself said that security vulnerabilities are basically just bugs. That train must be hell for you. It's not too bad. It is pretty loud sometimes. There are like a few times a year when I notice, like, wait a minute, like it almost seems like the train is out there all the time. It's not even that close. It's like there's like a rail siding where they store cars and stuff down over there. Have you tried the game Dwarf Fortress or know about it? I know about it. I find it like interesting from like a study perspective, as a case study on like abstract games and stuff. I guess Dwarf Fortress is one of the things that kind of gives me hope for my terminal block mining game idea. Okay, so that's probably where the test is coming from. Interesting. So I guess what I don't I'll have to go back and review the Maven goals, because I need to make this build process a bit faster. Thank you for helping me understand how CPUs work. If you're a drinker, I will buy you a beer anytime you want one. Not at the moment. I try to stay away from them, adding more vices to my life. If you're applying, okay, I'll skip that one. What's your favorite food, Robert? I like candy. It's really frustrating to hear that you do security for something. That to do security something, you have to be able to build that thing, but it sounds intuitive in a way. I guess it's back to the drawing board for me. I think it's probably not. It's probably not necessary. But it's just like, if you want to have total mastery of a system, having a knowledge of how it works internally would help you a lot. But I would say a shortcut. Actually, if you, I don't even know if there's a lot of public results for these terms, because this is actually in my one of my senior year courses where we did on software testing. If you look up the concept of input space partitioning, like as the theory of like how to partition the input space to a program. So for testing, so you could say, like, let's say you want to test a program and you want to do five test cases. You could do you could test the numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I think if you're a good software engineer, you would think like, wait, maybe test the case like 1 or maybe 2, but then also test instead of testing like 3 and 4, which kind of give you about the same information, test an input of value 0, test a value -1, test a value of max integer, test a value of the minimum integer, and then you can so if you're good at partitioning the input space and figuring out like which categories of inputs are basically the same. I can tell the train bothers you. I feel. It's honestly, I actually think I don't know if I noticed this the last few days. I think the train horn is louder. I think they got a new like train horn because I don't remember it being that loud. It was and the sound of it is a bit different. But it's not too bad. I've lived here for like 7 years, and it's not a big deal. It's only around like 10 p.m. or something they come through. But yeah, if you want to become a better security engineer, I would say focus on the concept of input space partitioning, because that would kind of allow you to avoid. You get some benefit, and you don't need to learn everything about how it works internally. But of course, to figure out how to partition the input space, it would help if you know how to partition it. Just curious, the other day, someone had mentioned Rust. You were quite dismissive of it. You had said, the more I learn about it, the less I like it. I'm interested to hear your critique. I don't know. It's it's not a super. It's not a language that a lot of people use in reality. But the fact that so many people like it, so evangelical about it for seemingly no reason, is to me it strikes me as strange that people just keep saying like, hey, rewrite this in Rust, and it's there doesn't seem to be any benefit to it. And there also a lot of projects seem to be like mired in controversy and stuff like that from like over political stuff, and what it's seems ridiculous when it's supposed to be like, why not C, why not Erlang, why not JavaScript, why not TypeScript, why not COBOL, why not Fortran, why not Python, why not any, there's so many other languages, but it seems like Rust is almost I almost consider it just like a meme now. I barely take it seriously. Opinion on the Lisp family of languages. I've never programmed Lisp, but I have programmed Scheme, which I believe is similar to Lisp. That was one of my first courses that I did for I think it was the second programming course we did in university for it was a thing called functional programming. Was we used Scheme, and that course, it was really hard to write in Scheme at first, but once I kind of like trained my thinking, I was able to I think it really helped me do like recursive programming. What's your opinion on using multiple monitors? I found as of recent, my triple monitor setup actually makes me less productive. I lose concentration from current task thoughts. It depends what I'm doing. If I find if I'm doing like some kind of data transformation task, I find two monitors is like extremely important and useful. But there's certain tasks where it really doesn't do anything. What are you working on? I'm working on the block mining simulation game, but it looks like I'm not. I'm just overwhelmed by talking to chat, so I'm not making too much progress. But today I got some baked-in configurations. So when you clone the project, there's already set up configurations. Do you think you'll leave Toronto if your content creator life takes off? maybe. Although the question is where would I go? Yeah, lots of stuff is up on the air. The uncertainty with revenue and the uncertainty with housing, and then I may like, who knows? Maybe Canada will turn into a different country, and people who ask for Rust rewrites don't know CS enough, to be honest. Yeah, it's Rust. And I've heard, I've never given a serious attempt to learn Rust, but I've heard more and more people say that, they tried Rust seriously for several years, and then they kind of abandoned it just because the syntax is too crazy. And I think I've heard some bad things about, like, it's still like an unstable language, which is concerning given how old it is now. Have you used Go before? I love it. I've heard Go. I've heard good things about Go, but I've not tried it. I have a degree in audio engineering. If you need any help with the audio aspect of your content, I'd be willing to help for free. Oh, thank you for the gesture. Yeah, that's interesting. The more I learn, like, audio engineering is extremely complicated, and I completely understand now why. Like, honestly, audio is more complicated. It's more difficult to get audio right in video than the video itself. There's an amazing amount of things to learn. I've got a couple different preamps now. I recently bought a 32-bit float preamp, so there's a few video ideas I have that I might use for that. What's something really niche that you're super nerdy about outside of tech? I don't know. I mean, historically, all I've done has been tech, and then recently I've been doing less tech and more like the YouTube stuff. So YouTube might be the answer to that. I hate to be that guy, but when Java and CPP were at their peak, they both had the version of Rust, rewrite and Rust. Yeah, I don't know. It's I mean, if Rust is truly a good language, then once it really starts, once people stop using Java, then I'll learn Rust, but not before. Java had insane marketing budget. CPP devs tend to hard-ass C devs into rewriting in CPP. Yeah, in my opinion, there's like a use case for each of these languages. Like, there's certain very specific tasks that you would write it in C, and it would not make sense to write it in Java, and kind of vice versa. I'm not familiar with the project. What is the game? So it is a terminal-based. Let me just click the README. So here's a screenshot. So it is a terminal-based block mining simulation game. So the idea is it's an infinite procedurally generated universe where you wander around and you spam the M key to mine blocks. So one of the things I've been doing over the last, I kind of haven't worked on this for almost like 6 months, and so for the next probably, I'm probably going to try to stream maybe once a day and do a little bit of work on this. And I've just been kind of fixing some bugs and issues with the build process, and it doesn't render properly on certain monitors and stuff. And so although it looks like today I'm barely making any progress, just going through chat. Because if CPP devs were good devs, we got a good old Linus rants against CPP. Yeah, I think it's a good thing that there's not C++ in the kernel. West BC, maybe the US, 51st state. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's at this point I'm detached from it. Like, whatever, it's the 51st state thing is bigger than me. So whatever happens, is going to be lots of political drama in the near future. start with JS, Python, and then Go. When looking at learning a systems language, I thought it's new and seemingly replacing C++. Maybe I should step up to this. Step up to this, I assume you mean by Rust. Rust is not unstable. I'd heard that it's I don't know, there were some features of the language that were up until recently were still like changing. I think there was also, what was it? Something about like there was some issue with like it doesn't have like a standard library like C++, so it has higher build times or something. And that was a dilemma they were working on solving that or something. If you come to U of T, I guarantee you will have a lot of fans. Yeah, that's one of the interesting, exciting potential things of YouTube, is that maybe I could do some like, I don't know, meetups or something like that. I don't know, I'd almost been thinking about like one of the problems to solve in society, like there's like the loneliness epidemic. It's hard to meet people and stuff. Everyone wants to join. Like everyone who's here in chat is here because they're not at like a club. You're not at a bar, and like most people don't want to go to bars. So, maybe there's room in the world to just like organize people around, just some kind of common interest. Like just go to like visit random universities around the world and just have like random meetups, and then, organize. Maybe like get it attached to like some kind of group at the university, so that way everyone. That was kind of my idea with. I don't know if you guys saw my the loneliest university is University of Waterloo, the loneliest university. Just make like a meme about like everybody, if you're feeling lonely in the middle of reading week, just go to this place at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, and then everyone can meet up there, and then maybe and then I don't have to go again, and maybe some people will actually go to it and make lifelong friendships. You really just need to meet like if you meet a similar enough person in the right context, then who's going through the same shared experience as you, then it that's kind of spaced repetition. That's how you build friendships. I think the instability of Rust comes from the refactoring of crates, resulting in UN version locked projects. Resulting in UN version locked project. Is that unversion locked projects, or? Yeah, I don't exactly completely understand how that practice manifests, or how that problem manifests in practice. But I know I remember reading something about this issue with some dependency being stability. There's a party in Guelph tomorrow. You're invited. Yeah, probably not. I feel personally called out. Yeah, it's I don't. That's a lot of people. I've gone to parties when I was younger, and went to bars and stuff like that, and it's like an interesting thing to do. But then after you do it, like if you go to clubs and stuff, clubs are like they're just a place to rob people of, like the drinks are, I don't even know how much is a drink at a club now, but I remember back in the day it's like $10 for one drink. And I remember going to I was with some friends, and we very specifically chose this one club because they said like it's this night and we have this deal on where you get like bring with a group, and you get a cheaper price on drinks or something. And we went there, and they're like, no, we don't have that. And and then we like someone I think pulled out their phone and they pull up this they pulled up their own website and it said we have drinks that are cheap tonight, and they're just like yeah we're not going to honor this, and I think it's like it's not a bad play. It's not a bad place to go if you know a lot of people at the club already. You can kind of just wander around and socialize and meet people. But if to go to a club in a big city, not with just like one or two other friends or something, it's not a very great experience. And I mean, you can make it work, but it takes a lot of investment and time. Sorry, correction. Project sediment version locking end up breaking. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I guess I don't. I haven't programmed Rust, so obviously I don't really know how much of a problem that is in practice. But I've heard some people complain about it. Gen Z is the least drinking generation. Yeah, not surprising. So I mean, it's also getting expensive. Like, does anyone know how much does a drink cost at like how much is it a beer or like a shot at a club? It's probably like $15 or something crazy. Like I remember back in there's that loud train again. The train's more aggressive recently. I remember back like 2009 or so when it first came up. It was normal to go out to a club and spend about $100 or something. That was like a normal night. Chicago 10 years ago was $14. Boston 15 at least. A quart of beer in China is 25 cents. Might be new horn usage policies in place. Yeah, actually, that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe there's an accident recently, because the place where the train is by the siding, it has to like cross the siding a lot. So there's lots of opportunity for hitting cars there. New York well cocktail is $20. Yeah, I mean that's so much money. Yeah, you could just smuggle it in, but then at that point, like the real question is like, why even go? They know that Robert is streaming. Yeah, that train engineer is probably watching right now, trolling me. Okay, I'm caught up in chat. Let's try to do something useful. Let me think. What was I doing? Okay, so it builds. Next, I was going to do, let's test the test rule. I also changed the test a bit today because I didn't really have them working as like I didn't have them properly annotated like Maven test. Oh yeah, that was one of the things I was going to do tonight is maybe I'll add a unit test for that issue that I discovered yesterday. I guess the test won't really there won't be any possibility for it to fail, but I'll probably just I'll code down what I learned that happens in GNU screen. I'm not a Rust evangelist, but just a perma-noob. I'm actually a Go lover who's done several projects with it. Compile super fast. Any target. Easier syntax and fast. Compile super fast to any target. You mean Go, I guess? Yeah, I've heard good things about Go. I guess Go is, I don't think about Go much, but it sounds like a decent alternative to Java. Love you, boo. I've slept, just popping in to say hi and express my concern that you're becoming too sane too quickly. Pace yourself and get enough rest. I'm becoming too sane too quickly. Well, thank you for your expressing the concern and for your positive words. Substantial Inspirion. Oof. Yeah, most of the coding I still do in Vim, but I have it. It'll auto update in the UI. Hello, Mr. Robert. How might I contribute to world domination? Is this Domination open source? It's not open source in the literal definition of open source, but the code is available. So there's a link in the description where you can see the GitHub project, but you have to read the license. So you have to pay me at least $1 through any of the methods described in the README. I love to watch you do your thing. Feel smart watching people who are smarter than me. Could you give me a little rundown of what you're doing for those who should up late to class? So right now, I am going to try and add a new unit test. So I had a few existing unit tests in this project, in the block mining simulation game. And so yesterday I just discovered a few weird bugs that happen in GNU Screen, and I was able to trace them down to a very specific way of writing characters to the screen. So it took me a long time to debug that case. So I'm just gonna write it. I don't want to forget that. I'm just gonna add it as a unit test, even though it'll always pass. But this way I can just run that specific unit test in the future to see if that problem actually manifests on a given platform. So let me see. I don't remember the syntax for running a specific test, but there's I can do mvn test and then see, it's mvn test. Okay, I guess I had to write. Man, that's quite slow. I think it's just the name of the function, so we'll do that again. need to specify the name of the class. Oh, it's not working. Have you utilized AI inferences in your coding at all? Or do you need to bother? Is there any AI use cases for someone as adept as yourself? I feel stupid already asking for this. It's a valid question. A lot of people have asked me that. At this point, I've not yet actually used AI in anything I'm doing. I would say about a year ago, I used ChatGPT. People said, "Hey, I'm ChatGPT. ChatGPT can code stuff." So I tried it out, and there was a few cases where it's like, this is really bad. And then there's other specific cases where if you ask it about stuff that there's lots of examples of on the internet. For example, like merge sort or something, or like a code Flappy Bird. It knows. It's very good at doing those things to the point where it's like, wow, this is actually like impressive. But it also writes code that is like, it's almost like the worst possible type of code. Like, so it's like if you hired like a student who was like knew a lot but also made a lot of mistakes or something like that. So like if you have gibberish code, like if you're marking student assignments, the most time-consuming assignments to mark are the ones of the students who are kind of in the middle. So if you have students that really know what they're doing, they just give you everything correct. Students that don't know what they're doing, they give you stuff that's just obviously wrong. But AI gives you stuff that's like, where you look at it and you're like, like, is this, am I wrong or is the AI wrong? And sometimes, it'll surprise you. So that's for like short, snippets or something with ChatGPT. Now the key thing is the context window. So in my opinion, for any like existing project, the AI, in my opinion, is really only useful if you can put in like a lot of context related to what you're doing. And that is like at the last time I tried these AI tools, ChatGPT was the only one I tried. You could not actually attach the context of your project. I thought like, wow, once we can actually attach your whole project, and you can ask AI about the whole code base of your specific code base, that might start to get like, so good that maybe I should actually use it. But at this point, I have not yet tried any of those tools, and in fact, that's why. Actually, if anyone who uses IntelliJ, are there currently any AI coding tools? Actually, there's probably like some plugins or something. Let me. I think there's somewhere in here. There's a way to add plugins tools. Like I'm just getting used to IntelliJ, but I decided to. I'm like, yeah, I should learn a bit more than Vim, because I don't want to get left behind in the dust. There's so much pressure to make these like incorporate AI tools and everything. Someone I know used AI to convert their manager scribbles into requirements. Yeah, that's one application. All IDEs have tools built in. Yeah, I'm sure this one has like some, add setters and getters and stuff, like deterministic things. But I'm sure if it doesn't already, there's probably some, it's probably in like settings or something. Settings. Plugins. So yeah, there's a bunch of them here. Now if I type in like AI, yeah, like these, I don't know if I trust any of these. This is the first time I've ever typed in AI here, but like this is what I'm thinking about. Like if one of these becomes useful, then if I know at least one IDE, then I can maybe start experimenting with some of these. GitHub Copilot can use our workspaces context, and it's not terrible if you ask very specific questions with the workspace context. Yeah, that's a thing where, like I said, I've never used it really, but I could see a point where it just gets so good that like if you don't use it, you're like a you're like a Luddite, where everyone else is getting very far ahead of you. AI is that @ symbol in right below notifications. Right bar below notifications. Okay. Oh, wow. AI assistant. Is this a local thing, or does this like send everything to the cloud? I guess it doesn't really matter too much. Huh. Interesting. Thank you for that. That's one of those things that I like about streaming. It's like I can just, like, my AI assistant is the chat, and it's even better because it's not AI. At least I don't think it is. Okay. 7-day free trial. So you're gonna pay for it, I guess. Ask about project code. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm right now, like, I'm not gonna try this now, but the fact that this exists is that's kind of what I'm going for in trying to learn an IDE for the first time. And they're real human beings, unpaid human beings. Yeah, I mean, it makes me feel special that that I'm so important that I can just, I have 21, they're not even artificial, they're real intelligence assistants that are here who will just immediately answer any question I have. It's pretty awesome. That's happened more than a few times. I'm just like trying to figure something out, and then someone in chat will be like, hey, did you know you could do this? And I'm like, wow, it would take me, like, there's a bunch of these questions that I don't know how to ask the question. Like someone mentioned, like with one of these Maven build things, or like setting up these run configurations. Like I didn't know that was the thing I had to do. And then I think it was this one. Edit. Yeah, so this thing here, this little before launch thing, that was critical in getting like a one-click setup thing. And I just I figured I'd probably have to like change the XML file or something, or figure out something to do with Maven life cycles, the Maven life cycle or something dependency management. But nope, I can just add a specific rule for it. And that someone just mentioned that in chat. So that did what I wanted. Let me think though. Is this going to do what I want? Now, where did I define these? Character constants. Oh, cool. I have a class for that. This is what happens when you don't work on a project for a while. You forget that you even wrote stuff. Do you have some sort of secondary macro keyword? Nope, just the standard. This is actually just an old spare laptop that I have. Now, I forget how to clear the screen. So screen cleared, and then just curious, what's your favorite music? Do you ever listen to music while coding? I would say when I'm like actually when I'm working off stream, probably always. I don't know. I listen to a lot of stuff. Lots of some pop, some. I guess I really liked the whole some of the genres that trend on YouTube, like funk music was big for a while, and like vaporwave style music, and some of those. There's a few like kind of offshoots of those trends, just like the vaporwave, and then there's a few of those like really long mixes of like Japanese vaporwave style, or just kind of like random mixes that have like some mood or aesthetic. There's that meme song. Lo-fi chill hop steady music. Yeah, I would say the lo-fi chill stuff. Hop. I don't know what that modifier would imply, but some of that stuff is good if it's in the kind of the right genre. Do you use colored terminal output? Yep. This is terminal. This is colored. Let's see. So that is it's the classic YouTube stereotype music title. Yeah. Yeah, I guess on stream, I don't know, the stream is about the stream is not really about music, so I guess if people want music, they can put it on their end. But if I put it in, it'll get flagged and stuff. So it's the copyright aspect is prevents me from doing that. Chill hop, that's pops up on my YouTube first usually. Yeah, I find if you click on one thing, you'll get 1,000 more like it. I was kind of hoping this would just compile and run faster, but oh, that's why. Like Caravan Palace. Not familiar with that. Is that a band? I forgot how to do these. I thought that was backwards. I mean, that's not quite what I expected. Maybe that's... Are the compile times long because it's an old PC, or is it just Java? Still in general. This is an old PC, but the build time, I think it is doing like... I'm sure it is probably doing way more than it should be. I should probably... I just... it was just today that I actually like refactored how I'm doing these. I didn't... Before, my unit test didn't have like proper @tests things and stuff, so tonight is just my first time testing out like a more proper way of doing the testing and stuff. I was almost thinking about prototyping this in Python, but then I thought it makes more sense if this is like in code, just in case I build it into something more formal in the future. Compile times are long because you're supposed to get coffee between builds. And I would get a lot of coffee then. Isn't that really bad for productivity? Yeah, this is I should let me think. What I really do, what I really want to do is just do like, you know, Java C. I would like to kind of do that, but I don't. There's probably some kind of Maven rule that does the equivalent of that, where I'm just doing like Java C it. I think this is probably what I'm doing. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. They wrote weights in the compiler just for that. Wait till you find out about Simulink and MATLAB compile time. On a good day, it takes 5-10 minutes, and then 30 minutes for CodeGen. Yeah, that kind of stuff is. That's another reason why I'm kind of going up the big barrier of like learning IntelliJ, just in case there's something big I'm missing out on with these IDEs. What I'm probably going to do, let me think. cool, it just tells me what to do. All right. So now there we go. There's a much faster iteration loop. So instead of wasting all that time, because that's all I want to do, then do you not use tmux? I do sometimes. For this application, for this task, I don't. It doesn't really benefit in any way. Time it? I don't need to. I don't think. I don't think I can get much better than just Java C and Java. Okay. Line plus 20. That's not what I expected to see. And it's really slow. Do I have, oh, my loop is broken, messed, I think. Line equals 0, line less than 5, line plus plus. Oh, starts at 0, that's why. Hello from downstream of the Grand River. So we are, I guess, also in Ontario. Robert, do you have a driver's license? I do. That's someone asked that in, I think, in a previous stream. Yeah, I don't. I mean, there's times when it would be nice to have a car, but I do have a driver's license. Just don't use it. How do you get groceries then? There's actually a grocery store down the road here. Personally, I have two vehicles, but they are non-opt, and they cannot be driven for time being. Non-opt. I'm not familiar with that phrase. Non-opt. Not non-operational at DMV. Do you order online? No. I mean, there's some. There's like USB cables and stuff. Mostly when I order stuff online, it's like specific stuff you can't really buy in a store. Or there's like pretty much all. I can go all the way to Walmart. I can take the bus to Walmart and stuff, but I thought about it, and it's like, for the amount of time I'm going there, stuff. There's kind of like a relatively reasonable supermarket down the road here, and there's for most meals. There's a place I can go to down on Main Street that's got decent food that's they serve it fresh every day and stuff. It's kind of like pre-made meals. I find the idea of driving less appealing as people seem to increasingly reckless on the roads. Yeah, I haven't driven in a while, but from what I understand, the driving standards have been going down. And I think there's a lot of like driving license fraud now. You can just like pay someone to get a driver's license without taking the test. The giant 6-lane road is undergoing construction. I can't wait to be able to actually walk places and not be worried for my safety. At least for now. If you have an Indian restaurant nearby, then you have nothing to worry about. I mean, to just go to the restaurant, or what's the point of this life? I've been following you for a while. The point of my life? Look at that. Large, giant, dangerous earth-moving machines. Have you thought about what you use for insulation in the hypothetical living shed? Typical insulation at the store seems so overpriced. You know, it's the insulative properties of insulation are actually interesting. It's interesting. Air is actually a better insulator than insulation per like unit, per unit of area and volume. But the problem with air though is that it moves around, so you have convection. So that's why basically any kind of insulation any good insulation is mostly just air. Did the chat all just take a shot or something? I don't know. Oh, you said what's the point of this live? Not one of the. What's the point of this life? Okay. I meant world domination. Yeah. So right now I'm kind of between projects. I have a bunch of random stuff I got to do for the next month. That's probably going to distract me. So I'm kind of between stuff, and I'm soliciting. Actually, if you go back to the start of the stream, very start of the stream, I have a list of like things. So I've been soliciting super chats. So if you want to vote on what you want to see from me next, you can just give $5 or something and give a vote, or you can actually just ask. Don't give me anything. Just say if you want more shorts, or if you like the live form content, or if there's a specific video you liked, you can let me know, and I'll keep it in mind to produce that. So because I kind of have some downtime, I'm taking some time to work on the block mining game, and every day I've been trying to do a bit of streaming every day just to kind of test it out. Historically, I've been doing one stream per week, but streaming is also easy, because I don't have to prepare anything. I just go live, and then I can also kind of streaming produces a bit of revenue, but also I can actually do a little bit of work, kind of, even though I'm not that productive. But even though it's like, take me 3 hours to code a little piece of something, it's still like a little bit of progress. So there's something to show for it. You can just buy a driver's license now. Yeah, in Canada apparently there's lots of corruption and with the government and stuff. The government employees. More Linux content, please. Oh, thank you for the 279 to Blodge. Yeah, I would like to go back and do more of the command line shorts. The issue with those is they take quite a bit of time. And I was actually checking the revenue. They produce like around 1% of the revenue. So they are, I think, good for growing the audience. But they're not super profitable. Let's see, I'm missing some chats. More sponsored Microsoft content, please. I don't know if I can do that, but thank you for your $2 suggestion, though, Bradley. Do you use AI much for anything? Not yet. That's one of the reasons I was getting used to the IntelliJ IDE, just in case if I ever do want to experiment with it, there's some AI integrations in it. Hello, Roberto. Let's go. I'm hype right now. Turn up. You are the smartest person here. You need to choose. Trust me, the followers are going to follow. I don't know. We can't necessarily confirm that I'm the smartest person. There's 29 people here. Could be some very smart people in the audience that we don't know about. What's the Arch Plus Hyperland Rice, Robert? I don't know the answer to that question. Noah says he's pretty smart, so we'll take him at his word. Joseph sends $20. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing what you do. Well, no worries. I'm definitely the smartest, says Orthodox NPC. All right, I believe you. And Noah Gottlieb is very happy and hyped up. Very exciting. All right, let's do some more coding. An Orthodox NPC would LOL. Haven't lived in KW for a long time. Is Phil's on a Wednesday still fun? I remember when when I was in university, I went to Phil's. I know there's Phil's and there's Filthies, which are I think two different places, and I never really learned the difference. I think I went to one of each, once. I honestly did not partake in that much when I was in university. And then I think, yeah, I think I went to the Bomber once. Didn't get it. PewDiePie made a video about him switching to Arch. Arch Linux. Okay, racing up Hyperland. So I'm asking, when will we get you to see you using Arch Linux? I tried using Arch years ago, but I decided that Arch is too unstable. I think it makes sense if you're like on the bleeding, like if you need the bleeding edge packages and you're like developing stuff. But in my opinion, Arch is not a daily driving Linux. It's like a bleeding edge software development Linux. I came from the Linux command video and stayed for the personality. So I think Tristan McGinnis is right, that the followers will follow. That's great news. Can't decide if I'm Dunning or Kruger. That's true. I updated Arch last time and it broke my laptop. So now I'm on Fedora. Yeah, I think, in my opinion, every distribution of Arch, distribution of Linux, it has a specific purpose. So, like Arch, like when I'm Googling for how to do something crazy, like if I have some weird bug in Linux, usually I'll Google like for support for what I'm actually, for whatever distribution I have, usually Ubuntu. But then if I can't find the answer on like Ubuntu forums or in like related to Ubuntu, I will search for the same problem on the context of Arch. And very often, like the development guides for Arch are like a way more substantial version of what you would find for Ubuntu. And then if I can't find the answer to what I'm looking for in like documentation about Arch Linux, then I'll go to like Linux from scratch. So that's like the, kind of really bare bones. That's when you're getting into like, the setting up UDEV rules and stuff. Or even in Arch Linux, there's a lot of UDEV rules and stuff and esoteric things, but like how to, the compiler flags for like building a specific thing, that would go way down into Linux from scratch. There's only a couple times I've had to look at the Linux from scratch project to try and figure out how something works. Arch is definitely overrated. It's a good meme. I think you have to use every tool correctly for its purpose. And like I said, in my opinion, I think Arch is, the purpose of Arch is, the only reason to daily drive Arch is when you want to do software development and you're like, if you say you build like one specific piece of, you're a maintainer for like the dbus service or something, and you rely on some graphical thing you need, and you constantly need to be pulling the new versions of packages for that thing because you're actually developing on it, then it makes more sense. Or if you're unemployed and you are okay with spending like all of your spare time configuring everything and recompiling stuff. So if you're okay with like spending 2 hours a day debugging your computer to get it to work, then Arch is pretty good. Or like if you already like hyper customize stuff. Personally, I never like all the fancy like graphical interfaces and stuff. I think I experimented with that a few times, but it's just so much work to maintain that it's I don't bother. What do you think about Wayland? From what I understand, I know there's like a whole bunch of politics and stuff behind that. But from what I understand, I think the people who made X are actually developing Wayland, and Wayland is, I guess, going to replace X, or it's supposed to replace it. And in the newest versions, the vision for newer versions of Debian, I think, is to fully replace X with Wayland. I don't necessarily understand the motivations for it, and I know it's kind of finicky because even the last version there's like some X Wayland bridge or something. I don't really know the internals, but I think it's like kind of becoming stable, but it's also a huge pain, and it's a huge reason that a lot of apps don't work. I'm going to try Rocky Linux. Been on OpenSUSE forever. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Rocky Linux. I know there's like a million distributions. I mean, technically, you can make your own distribution if you want. I have a video on Linux from scratch if you want to check that out. What do you think about NixOS? Since you said unemployed people use Arch, I wouldn't say unemployed people use Arch, but I'm saying like if you're an unemployed person and you really want to spend all of your time recompiling packages and like constantly, updating things, then Arch would be a good use for that. But I think it makes sense to use Arch if you need it for like if you need the bleeding edge packages. Whereas for me, like for example, for streaming, I absolutely don't want to use Arch because I don't want to go to stream and then find out like, oh, the drivers for the hard drive don't work. So then I have to spend like 3 hours installing drivers, and then my stream is late or something. Is this a VM or live boot Ubuntu? This is right now I'm in VM. Wayland is okay now. I was able to game on Wayland without issues. X11 is unmaintained. Yeah, I think it's last I listened to it, it seems like it's getting up to speed now. Wayland is fine without NVIDIA, but that's the problem though, is like stupid NVIDIA drivers never work. Although I think in the last version of Ubuntu, that was the first time when it came pre-installed with NVIDIA drivers. Although on the other computer that actually does the streaming, I did like an apt-get update, and it like failed to install a whole bunch of stuff, and it like totally broke the UI. Actually, that was a very bad breakage because I couldn't even like do like Control Alt F1. I had to do some weird other finicky thing. Yeah, I think I had to go back to the grub menu and then like boot and do an alternate mode with like networking, and then from there I was able to fix it. But it's usually I don't expect apt-get update to totally break the system. Even on NVIDIA, it's decent now. That's good to hear. Fine. It's about time. I'm tired of it just constantly not working for no reason. Need NVIDIA for Wayland. I'm using Vulkan for my game engine project. X is insecure today. Today's software landscape is very complex. Wayland is simpler, more secure. For example, implementing clipboard functionality is difficult with Wayland as with X. Yeah, I guess from what I understand, like I think it's I don't know much. You guys probably know more about it than me, but I thought that the people who are making Wayland are like, existing or former X developers. Let's see. There's the train again. remember seeing a lot of Wayland caveats in GLFW docs recently, though. Hope it gets better. Yeah, I keep hearing people say that Wayland is like done and ready and great, and then there's also like a new class of bugs and stuff like that. But I don't know if enough people switch to it, and there's eventually the rate of new bugs discovered will go down. Wayland is taking long because the devs tend to have very long discussions on how to implement protocols, which makes sense since these protocols will have to exist for a very long time. So let's get everything right. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's pretty like graphical displays are pretty central to everything that you're doing. And then if they have some like really bad design flaw in the protocol, and then like if Wayland ends up with the design flaws, then someone will have it for 3 years, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, I guess we better design a new thing. So then we gotta like migrate from Wayland to Wayland Plus or something. Also, X was designed to work remotely. Rendering content from network, Wayland is more computer desktop implementation. Yeah, that is kind of I mean, it's like a kind of cool quirk of X when you think about it, but it's also like it has unnecessary security vulnerabilities because nobody really needs that these days. I'm in a rush. Debian and i3 for me. Bro, what are you doing? Currently, I am. Well, the overall goal for what the project I'm working on is the block mining simulation game, which is a terminal-based game where you mine blocks, and there's some UI bugs. So right now I'm taking a bit of time to just writing some like test scripts so I can have an easy way to test for certain terminals, like GNU Screen and wide character mode has a bunch of bugs, and I thought I'd just take tonight to write a couple scripts to try and so instead of like being confused all the time, I can just run these scripts and then see the display and if there's any bugs in it. Can you give that terminal game link? It should be a link in the description. I used NixOS for several months. Issue is no FHS and poor documentation. Back to Fedora. Actually, the reason it's called X is because it's a fork of W, meaning Windows design back in the Unix days. That's why it's server-based. Huh. I was also a Fedora for 3 years before NixOS, 2 years of Debian. Can you make 3D games in Terminal? Theoretically, you could. I mean, they wouldn't be very good. It would be possible, like this kind of, display mode. You can only display like characters, so everything would have to fit in like when I select on that, the limitations of the terminal are that everything fits. Everything's one character or a glyph inside of one of those cells, but some terminals actually support what's called sixels, which is this like kind of old. It's actually kind of interesting. It's you would think it's a new thing, but it's actually quite old. That came out in like 1980s or something, and it's basically like a way of doing like pixel-based drawing instructions. But you can Google it, SIXELS, but it's not supported in a lot of terminals. There's a YouTube channel that does this in CPP. I recommend watching them. YouTube channel that does this in CPU. What do you mean by this? All right, that kind of illustrates what I'm trying to accomplish here. So you can see, so when you display a character that's 1 character wide, then it displays all the characters. But if you have a 2 wide character, then it only displays one of them. Just use bog standard Fedora GNOME. Not a race for it. Favor stability. Also a member of Professional Linux User Group, which focuses on Red Hat, so it helps to be binary compatible. I've seen a 3D viewer for blend models, but it would get so complex so fast. I think like if you the difficulty would really be like you just have to take whatever you're displaying and translate that into a terminal representation. So if you could do an ASCII art representation of it. It would look terrible. With sixels and stuff, you could draw like, you could have pretty basic like graphics and frames and stuff like that. I mean, you can display like arbitrary pictures and things in the terminal. If you look up like sixel, like if you just Google like displaying pictures in the terminal with sixels. TempleOS has good terminal 3D stuff. That's true. No, nothing can beat TempleOS. Can you run Debian? Debian in Wi-Fi router? If you could get it installed, and there is a Linux distribution that runs. What is it? Open. I think that's a Linux distribution. Oh, but is it DDWRT or something? OpenWRT. Yeah, so if you can run Linux on it, then you can probably. Routers have 32 megs of RAM. Yeah, depends on what router you get. If you get an expensive one, you can probably put it on that. Yeah, the train is particularly. That train's been acting up lately, making a lot of noise. Yeah, it's like past midnight too. Bradley asks, what certificates or degrees does everyone have? That work? I've seen a video. You get runes Debian with soldering GPU. I'm not sure how those two things, soldering the GPU and Debian. I'm in Japan, 1:25 p.m. On the topic of find employers, look for jobs, then school, then side projects. No certificates. Let's see here. Algeria, 5:25 a.m. Wow. This truly is the future. We're all around the world, and we're connected here in cyberspace with some nice, cool cyberpunk lights talking about Linux. I passed Bible Belt USA, lowest legal credits possible, high school diploma, or with all people with masters. Worried I may be diversity hire. Well, I mean, if you are, you can take the fact that you're employed to just get as much experience as you can, and then sooner or later you'll catch up to everyone else, and you definitely won't be a diversity hire anymore. From Ontario, but you're in Japan. Japan's a neat country. I wouldn't mind visiting, but I don't know, it almost seems like too much of a meme to visit Japan now. So how to become part of the community on the remote place? Do you found on Axel Heiberg? As long as you contribute $1 to my World Domination Fund. Can I make a web server in terminal and make it online in the internet? Yeah. If you're behind, it depends like where you want to host it. If you host it on like a server with a public IP, then it's already on the internet. If you want to run it locally, then you'd need you're not going to have it on the internet if you're behind a router. Like if you're on like a home network or something, you'd need if you want to play with like a publicly accessible web server, you'd need probably want to get like a hosting, get like Amazon Web Service server, or maybe a cheaper alternative. Favorite anime series? I've never watched an anime. I think I saw there was a movie called One Punch Man or something. It was a movie or a series. I think I saw like one episode or movie of that. How to make a CPU? I have a video on that. Yeah, people keep asking me how to make CPU, so I was like, you know what? I'll just make a video about it. And now 11 million people have watched it. Running security engineering through Pro LUG group now. It's funny, I wouldn't be able to qualify for college course I applied for, if not for passing CompTIA Network Plus recently. Does anyone else feel the need to close-knit programming communities? Find the need for close-knit programming communities and such now. I find it hard to find those types of groups with good people. I think everyone in the world is in this phase now where people are like looking for community. We have like no third place. Everyone lives in expensive housing. Everyone spends all the time on the internet malls are empty. I think it's important to just find close-knit communities of any kind online. As we become more specialized society, like-minded, similar skill set individuals become more atomized. Yeah, that's true. It's all, in a way, it's kind of unfortunate because online communities don't really compare to real-world ones. Just not the same thing. And it's also, I mean, being in this position too, it's like it's kind of not fair because when I see the people in the chat, they're just like pixels on the screen. But from the other direction, people, there's people out there who, like, I've probably watched like maybe not hundreds of hours, but like tens of hours of me talking, but I don't even know that they exist. Parasocial is weird. Yeah, and it is it's kind of uniquely weird too, because like historically you could watch like celebrities and like a crazy person would be like, oh, this celebrity is my friend. But in a way, with like the existence of chat, like you could just like spam stuff in the chat and interact with people. So it gives you like the illusion of close-knit friendships. Hello, greetings, Robert. Good morning from India. How's it going? It's currently 33 past midnight here. What's your primary OS? I usually just use Ubuntu. As long as people don't start referring to as Robert, my beloved. As some people say I love you. I hope that they're joking. Let me see. I hate you. That's better. That's a good bit of distance. Robert, my beloved, there's a party in Guelph tomorrow, and I'm invited. Probably won't go. Robert is my favorite YouTuber. That's pretty good. I'm okay with that. There's that pesky train again, waking everybody up. I've actually legally married you in Vegas using a parasocial certificate. Get half of your silicone. Oh, joke's on you. You spelled silicon wrong. I don't have any silicone. Are you editing in Vim? Yep. Good night, all you beautiful people. Have a good night. And you also get half renovated. Robert will come live in your house. Oh, I'm gonna build a new society up in Axel Heiberg. Sounds like that island would not get a lot of sun. No, it's pretty cold, I think. Trust me, due to legal discovery. I'm aware of your silicone collections. I see. Communism is strong. With this one in chat. I guess I don't quite understand that. Do you have plans of what type of content you want to do in the future? A lot of tech YouTube people do courses. Or you could do something like Cherno, do code reviews and game engines. Yeah, I'm open to suggestions. What's written in Java? I'm trying to understand. So this is I'm just kind of writing some experimental. It's kind of hard to read. I'm just kind of writing some experimental stuff to like debug problems with the terminal, just to kind of visualize some weird bugs that happen. Like I guess you can see it with this example here. So if I just print out a single width character, so here I'm printing out A's, and I'm starting here, printing out A's, just one character per column, over that way, and here I print A's, moving the cursor back this way, and they all render correctly. Now here, I'm printing out, this is a two column wide character. So I start printing, there's the trains talking to each other. I printed one there, and I keep printing them, and because I'm only updating the position one at a time, the terminal like hides the previous one because it's a two column wide character. And so when I print it in this direction, I only see the last one. If I print it in this direction, I only see the first one, or the last one, this way. And then on the next one, I'm printing it every two, but because of how I updated there's a blank space at the end, blank space here. And that's what it looks like as they get less frequent. But anyway, just doing this as an aside to probably work into some unit tests so I can just like visualize and like debug stuff. The train is hardly audible, by the way. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's fairly audible here. I guess if I turn up the gain, it'd be more audible for you guys. I was thinking I should do. There's a few people that like trains on the channel, so I should probably maybe do one live stream or at least a recording of one of the trains going by. Will someone ask about static keyword? I'll have to write a wiki for it. Claims it's our server when it's really my server. Oh yeah. Also explaining your historical reasoning for choosing each software tool would offer people insight into working pragmatically. I could. I won't go into that right now, but that would make for some good in-depth video topics. Blodge says, good night, everyone. Have a good night. Comrade Robert looks like young Lenin. Well, maybe my hopes for world domination are not in vain after all. Thanks for the CPU video. Now I know what to do if Taiwan gets invaded. Yep. Yeah, actually that photo mask that's in that video is an authentic TSMC photo mask. So it's a fully authentic video. Meant for a single video idea. Yeah, I could. The thing is, there's so many good ideas. I know it's hard to. And lately, I've been thinking, like the video I did on immigration. I think that's the impact on the world that can the positive impact to the world of STEM that video can potentially have, or even like the positive impact on the world of open source. Yeah, is like through improving immigration policy to be better would probably be more significant than any kind of like few lines of code that I would write on anything, or opinions about like which IDE is the best or whatever, because there's like a million videos of that. What computer do you look for, and what OS do you install? How to set it up? I was thinking about actually doing like a switching to Linux for like general audiences, for like just for like should you try, or like just like a video that's designed for the mass market about like Linux and like how to go about it. I probably, one of the main things I probably recommend is like anyone thinking about ditching Windows is just try installing Linux on a spare laptop. I think that's definitely the way to go. train again. Yeah, that train's been misbehaving lately. You have a particularly practical way of thinking that would bring some value to the topic. Yeah, I could. I'll edit to the to-do list. In fact, so practical that your reasoning behind not doing it is even more sound. The paradox of being practical. All right, that's the same output, is it? Oh, actually, it's not. Interesting. Oh no, it is. So I guess the main thing is the width detection algorithm that I'm using. It just doesn't work on. Well, let's see. What do I have in here? Preferences. Oh, I'm still on wide. Gotta bounce. Have a good night. See you next stream. Yeah, I should probably. It's getting close to 1 a.m. I was gonna try to stream earlier tonight. I think last couple nights I was just like, oh, I should stream earlier, but then I didn't. Yeah, maybe I will. We'll call it night as well. And I guess I'll probably be back tomorrow. All right, have a good night, everyone. I'll be back sometime in the evening tomorrow.